What is going on? Blossom is back, and welcome back to another episode of Garage Review. It's been a while since I made a public video of Garage Review, but that doesn't mean that I've stopped. I've been doing a lot of private Garage Reviews, but this one is the first public Garage Review that I've done in a while. Now, every time I post a Garage Review episode, the most frequent question is, Blossom, how do I get my garage reviewed? How do I send in my garage to you? Well, if you want to know that, watch this little clip right now. So guys, if you are interested in getting a garage review, all you need to do is be a Patreon and submit your garage to me either via DMs or in the Patreon garage channel in my Discord. Now, as you can see here, I'm writing notes, and I write very long notes for everybody's garage. So we'll look at Jacob's notes right here because this is the one that we're reviewing today. And as you can see, I mean, it's like 7 pages, and I write notes and I write food, and it's a very in-depth process. So depending on what kind of garage review you get, which is really based on what tier you get, it can go up to either 5 hours. I've had garage reviews which have lasted 5 hours. Those are live calls, literal meetings where I take notes at the same time. Or you can always opt for the shorter garage reviews, which usually take about 1 to 2 hours. What I'm trying to say is that these garage review videos takes time and a lot of effort, so the only way of getting them now is via my Patreon. But anyway, now you know, and if you want to join my Patreon, the link is in the description below, and all of the descriptions are going to be under each tier. So if you want those 5-hour garage reviews, it's going to be a higher tier Patreon thing. If you don't mind a 1-2 hour review, that's going to be, you know, any tier. But anyway, hope you guys have a great day. Let's move on to the video. Alright, so now that's out of the way. Hopefully I won't see any more of those questions, but let's get into it. Today we're going to be reviewing Jacob's garage, or Jacob's garage. I'm going to tell you the little quirks and features about this garage. Let me give you the statistics before we get into it. This is a garage that I've already reviewed. I've already sent the notes to the owner, and I've already given him a private video for his garage, which is a lot more casual, but this one's more of a public one, so obviously it's going to be a lot shorter. The private one was, I think, about half an hour. This one should be a little over 15 minutes. So let me give you the garage details. He is a Japanese man, not a literal Japanese man, but he is a Japanese collector, kind of like the Corn type, but not really the Corn type because he's a Mitsubishi collector and Corn's a Nissan collector, so maybe he's more of the bunny type. So yes, his favorite brand and country is going to be Japan and Mitsubishi. His dream price car is the Evo 8 FQ400, the RQ89 Epic price car, and the Alfa Romeo 164. He's also a fan of Italian cars, namely small Italian cars, and then he plays clubs on a pretty regular basis, and this garage is, and get this, only 8 months old. So a pregnancy actually lasts longer than the age of his garage. Other stats that you can see right here: RQ500, 13,000 trophies. As you can see, he's currently at 1.1 million, 3,590 gold. Anyway, let's get into it with the comments. So like I said, this is an 8-month old garage. We have a lot of, as you can see, maxed out cars, but also a couple of stocks lying around. But for the most part, it is looking pretty, what am I trying to say, organized. A lump sum of all of his comments here are actually summer games, which is pretty cool. It tells me that, you know, this is a guy that really likes to compete in just the relevant challenges, you know, which is a good thing, I guess. I know some people, which, not many, but I do know that there are some players who think that upgrading all the commons for legendary challenges is too much of a hassle, so they don't even do it. I'm just like, bro, and then they just tell me, bro, I can't win the Dakar anyway, I can't get the legendary token anyway, why do I even try? I'm just like, just get as far as you can. You can definitely go for the commons. You might not win the Dakar, but you might be able to get the M1 Pro car or just another, you know, extra carbon fiber. But sometimes you just don't want to do it. But it's nice to see that this is a guy that really goes out of his way to get all these commons. You can see a lot of this is, you know, just summer games. Saw the Ford Fiesta, as well as I think it was like the Datsun. Where is the Datsun? I'm pretty sure it's like 2 or 3 of those. Yeah, 2 of the Nissan 260Zs. So there's going to be a lot of summer game cars in here. One thing I have to say about the commons, though, is that it is a pretty small collection. I get it. It's an 8-month-old garage, and he's probably suffering from the same like syndrome that I have, which is the common neglect syndrome. We don't like commons. The common meta is painful. It's less painful now thanks to JPT and the Suzuki Alto, as well as the Ford Fiesta moving down in this update, which are really, you know, 2 cars that are taking over the common meta, which is something I like, because before those 2 cars in the common meta, there was a best car for every single track set. It was too much to memorize for a rarity that's pretty irrelevant outside of, you know, special challenges. So, you know, it's nice to know that, you know, these new JPT cars are really just taking up and changing the game, and that's one thing that I see as a weakness in his common collection. not a lot of JPT comments in there. So my recommendations for you, Jakob, would be, as you know already, the Suzuki K-Works, Suzuki Swift, Suzuki Cappuccino, the Suzuki Servo, the Nissan Wing Road, and the Suzuki Alto Works. I mean, the entire common meta for JPT is basically just Suzuki and the Nissan Wing Road. So let's move on to the uncommons now, as I'm holding my nail clipper because it was on my table. As you can see here, once again, it's a bit of a mix and match of max and stock, which is pretty nice to see. I don't like looking at garages where it's like 2 stars everywhere or 1 star everywhere. I like the organizational knowledge of going max or nothing, because when it comes to challenges and clubs, not so much single player. Single player you can get by with like 2 stars and 1 stars, but when it comes to like challenges and clubs and multiplayer challenges, all that kind of stuff, it's really truly maxed or nothing. And this is what we're seeing here, maxed or nothing. You want to get the best out of your car, or you don't want to get anything out of your car at all. Now, one thing that I found pretty interesting about his uncommon collection is that he has a couple of key uncommons stock. So for example, if we go back into RQ27, we're going to be looking at one of the best dragsters for the uncommon range in the Mustang Boss 302 sitting there stock, which is actually pretty interesting. I know this is a car that you don't really need to use in multiplayer events a lot, because usually when it comes to drags, you want to use the best absolute cars on the drags because that's where you can win the most points. But you know, in a club setting, the Ford Mustang Boss is a really good car to have, and I already know that he does play clubs on a pretty regular basis, so this is going to be a really good car going into that game mode. There are a couple other ones in here as well. I think I wrote down in my notes, where are they? It is the Nissan Sunny Turbo is a car that he needs to look out for. Is a DS5, so RQ23 DS5. Now, you and I, once again, Jakob, we suffer from the same syndrome, which is the DS5 neglect syndrome, because I don't have a max DS5 in my garage as well. That being said, though, I do know how good of a car uncommon that is. Some cars that I would recommend for you to get and look out for would be the Nissan Sunny, Nissan Leaf Nismo, and the Nissan Micra Super Turbo. All of them are basically JPT, and it works out because I think this is like the best garage, one of the best garages, or the best type of garage to review post JPT, because he's a Japanese collector, right? So, you know, a lot of new Japanese cars in here, and a lot of Japanese cars for me to recommend to you. So not only are they good, but you like them as well because they are Japanese. Assuming that you like every Japanese car in production, because for me, I'm an American specialist, but even I don't like every single American car in production. Like the PT Cruiser, absolutely not. Thank you very much. Anyway, we're gonna speed through the rares over here. The rares are pretty fundamental. Like I said, this has been consistent with every garage I've reviewed. It seems to be that whether you're a pay-to-win, a free-to-play, or somewhere in between, rares are one of the strongest rarity in everyone's garage. I feel like maybe because rares are just a great equilibrium. I would say rares is like the best equilibrium of the low end. It's like the epic of the low end, you know what I mean? Or it's maybe the ultra rare of the low end, and then the ultra rare is the ultra rare of the everything end, and super rare is just somewhere in the middle, just you know, really crappy. I don't like super rares, I really don't. But as you can see here, once again, it's either maxed or nothing. It's amazing. I love to see that. A lot of key cars like the Ghibli, the Lotus Elise 1.6, and of course we have the Rally Spec, and of course the 69 Charger. It's very, very fundamental stuff. This is things that we'll see all the time. So let's move on to super rares now. And for super rares, I think on my notes I just have cars that you can max and cars that you can sell. So I'm not going to harp on that too much in the video. So we're just going to take a look at what he has and what he doesn't have. The Lupo is fantastic. I suffer from Lupo neglect system. I still don't have a max Lupo in my garage. It's one of those super rares where I absolutely need, but I just haven't wanted to touch because I really hate Volkswagen. And of course, a max Volkswagen Atlas. Would you look at that? Probably because of summer games, but one thing I am very proud to say is that I got through the entirety of summer games without using the Atlas once, without maxing the Atlas once, without using the Atlas once. I don't want to use it. It's a bit of a meme because of how much I hate it in top drives. There's one thing I have to say, every time I talk about the Atlas, I actually don't mind the Atlas in real life. Like, I think it's actually a pretty good looking SUV. It's just so bad in the game, you know? It's front wheel drive, and it can't even hit 80 handling, and it has all surface tires. You know, it's a bit of a car that's contradicting itself in every way, shape, and form. You know, it's an all surface tire car, but it's not 4-wheel drive. So it's front wheel drive, which means that it should handle well, but it doesn't. You know what I mean? So the Atlas is, you know, really bad in the game. But in real life, I genuinely think it's a good looking car. Not in that color though. I call that piss yellow. Honestly, if your piss looks like the color of the Atlas, you gotta drink some water, okay? Drink some water, stay hydrated. Yeah, if you're watching the video right now, drink some water, okay? But yeah, a lot of stock cars, if not max or stock, max or nothing, what I like to say. Some pretty cool ones, some pretty quirky ones, like the Acura TSX and the Subaru Subaru XV. That's another car. The Subaru XV is another car, Summer Games car, that I managed to get through the entire challenge without maxing. I'm not a fan. Most of the Subarus are capable of hitting, 80 handling or over 80 handling, and the fact that the XV only hits 77, that is a huge, I guess, distaste for me, so I didn't want to touch it. Obviously, if you get it maxed out, it would have been helpful in the Summer Games regardless, but I managed to finish the challenge without it. The Subaru Legacy is maxed the correct way, which is very nice. Mine is drag spec because I was weird. It's my oldest car. I didn't know how to play the game at the start. When I started playing top drives, I didn't have the resources that you guys have today with the Blossom choices and all these little videos that I've done to help you out. So hopefully they do help you out, because they definitely would have helped me, if I wasn't who I am and I was watching a guy like Blossom making the videos that I make, you know what I mean, starting out. I didn't have that. But anyway, a very, very nice collection. A lot of max super rares in here. One thing I would really look at is maybe maxing out those new JPT cars. It looks like he has JPT cars already. One of the biggest, I guess, surprises was that he actually didn't have a maxed out Frontier. Imagine having a maxed out XV but not a Frontier. I get that the XV is Summer Games, but the Frontier attack is just so much better of a car. I just cannot believe it sometimes, man. But yeah, it's a very nice collection. It's a very nice collection. All the key cars, you got the Europa Cup, you got the 4x4, you got the slick tire Renault, the Clio Cup is what it is, the Lotus Elise Sprint. Nothing much I have to say here. Once again, I should say that this is actually the third time that I'm reviewing his garage, so it's not like this is the first time and he doesn't know much. I have given him a lot of notes. This is the third time coming as well, and it's funny because I got to see this garage progress. I think I saw it when it was like 3 months, then 5 months, then 8 months, and it was just nice to see the progression. I remember the notes. It's been changing a lot. The first couple of notes that I sent to Jacob, or Jakob, or Jacob, whichever one, it was usually talking about cars that he needs to look out for, cars he needs to collect, but now I'm going into the nitty gritty of his garage because he's kind of, maxed out cars in every single variety and variation in terms of slick tires, performance tires, all surface tires, off-road tires, all that kind of stuff. So it's very nice to see just the progression of his garage. So yeah, that's a car that I want a lot. The Nissan Silvia Nismo 270R. I want that just because it's beautiful. And you're gonna see a lot of JPT cars in here. He opens a lot of JPT carbon fibers, which makes sense. He is a Japanese collector. Gonna be a lot of Subarus in here, so brace yourself. As you can see, there's a Subaru Legacy 2.0 GT, Nissan 370 Nismo, just not only Subarus, just a lot of JPT cars, right? Subaru Forester, 2 Crosstreks, 2 Legacies. One thing that I put in the notes for Jacob is, I know that you are a Japanese collector, but a lot of the Subarus are useless, so even if you are a Japanese collector, I would say probably look into maxing 1 of each, and then if you have any duplicates of any of the Subarus, then they can be considered as food, because even if you are a Japanese collector, 1 of each should be fine, especially since there's so many Subarus in the game. It's kind of like going out and trying to get every single BMW or every single Bentley. It's a very niche category. It's weird. Did Dodge get this kind of treatment in American Frontier? I'm a Dodge collector, so it doesn't feel like Dodge got a lot, or it didn't feel like it was very tasking to go out and get every Dodge. It didn't feel that way. I feel like Dodge had a lot of useful, unique cars. When you look at Subaru, they're all medium, and they're all four-wheel drive, and they're all a little better than the other in terms of RQ. But when it came to Dodge and American Frontier, we actually got a lot of variety, a lot of versatility. We got the Power Box, which is all surface. We got the M80, which is a pickup and all surface. We got the Circuit EV, which was a twisty car. The Charger 3, which is a drag car. I think they did a good job of American Frontier and Dodge. They added a lot of really good Dodge cars in American Frontier. Or I might just be incredibly biased. But at the end of the day, it's a very nice collection. As you can see here, a lot of cars, a lot of stock, and I've written in my notes a lot of food. But there's also a lot of cars that he can max out. So if anything, Jacob, if I was you, I would probably take a step back in looking for new cars to get and really invest in working in the cars that you have, especially if a collection this big. 8 months old, by the way, this garage. 8 months old. Now, let's look into the epics. I think the main thing here is, let's just go back. I want to give a center shot for this beautiful Nissan Bluebird SSR. That's almost, it's still a little off center to the left a little bit, I think. But it's a beautiful car, right? The SSR Nissan Bluebird, you need to max it out. Whoever has this needs to max it out. It's Blossom choice. It's like a Colorado killer, the current best saloon off-roader in the game. There is a legendary, but that's a prize car and nobody can get that yet. So right now, as it stands, the Bluebird is is absolutely monumental in anybody's garage. A lot of fused material in here, by the way. A lot of, we are looking at Audi S3s, Chrysler Crossfires, Volkswagen Golfs, the Infiniti QX70, one of the best RQ69s, I said in my top 3 video, but the MRA on the Q70 has gotten cut, which is a bit of a shame. That being said though, it is still medium, it is still standard, it still handles very well, but the MRA cut definitely is a bit of a blow, because that was a huge plus to the car. Yeah, the Maserati Ghibli is a huge food pile. DBS V12, the Nazca. Unless your name is Cannonball, you probably want to get rid of the Nazca, let's be real. One car that I would really look into would be the GMC Cyclone. I've already written this in your notes once again, but I would say that the lower end standard tires, like I would say between like RQ65 to 72, there isn't a lot of standard tire cars there. I think the only one is actually going to be the Sport Fusion Sport. So I would say your mid tier is okay because you have the Sport, and we'll see the Volkswagen coming up. But obviously, you know, getting the GMC maxed out, or maybe one of those, you know, I think it's the S80 Volvo, wouldn't hinder your garage way too much at all. So yeah, looking at the rest of the garage, there was a maxed out Nomad that I saw. Very, very nice. 3 Ford F-150 Raptors. I still want one of those, still on my bucket list. Still haven't gotten a chance of getting that. The I-Pace, the M3CS, we have the Nissan Silvia, JGTC GT. That must have been a new one, I think, because I don't think that you do have the IDR in this garage. 2 Mustang GT4s, I love that car so much, and obviously 2 Viper SRT 10s. Probably the next wide body for me. I can't seem to get that car, but once again, I'm not going to call it too early. There's still 4 epic Dodges that I'm missing out on, so whatever the last epic Dodges is going to be, well, in the literal terms, the next wide body. Moving on to the legendaries now, we have, oh, and look at that, just duplicates galore at the end. We have, what, 2 of the Vipers, 3 of the BMWs, 2 of the Bentleys, 8 months old garage, by the way. We have a maxed out Lancia Delta HF. It got its handling cut, which was a bit of a shame. That being said, though, still absolutely a beast of an off-roader. 94 3494. That is basically, I was gonna say that was Camaro stats, but the Camaro is 3497. Forget about it. But yeah, 2 Viper SRT 10s ACRs. Nice to see that moving up. It was one of the best RQ81s, now a pretty decent 82. We got the Dakar, a maxed out Ariel Atom. I actually want to know what was the idea, Jacob, if you're watching this, behind the Max Ariel Atom. We got the Ford GTX1. I couldn't get that car because I hate hatchbacks and I'm not going to invest in them. 2-star Porsche 959. My goodness. The Viper SRT 10 ACRX. Congratulations on that, buddy. I absolutely love that car. I'm going to max it out one day. And obviously, we're going to end off with the 2 best cars of his garage. No question. Bugatti Chiron for the fast. Peugeot 908 Fat for the twisty. It's a beautiful garage. I remember the day when he got the Chiron. It was actually like a couple of days right after I did his second garage review. Only a couple days later, he posted it in the server. It was like, oh my god, I got a Chiron, which is absolutely amazing. But anyway, guys, that's going to be Jakob's garage. Once again, I hope you enjoyed this episode of Garage Review. This was more of a review than a showcase, but I think I should do a showcase pretty soon. I got a lot of big garages that I can showcase. Cannonball, Branch, Asa Neon as well. It's gonna be pretty nice. But anyway, I hope you guys have a great day. I'm gonna stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.